Good morning, everybody. I'd like to introduce the next economic model we'll be dealing with for actually most of the remaining of this part of the semester. And it's called the aggregate supply and demand curve model. And this is really a composite of the original macro model we looked at, and even has features of the solo growth model in it. And it's actually, there's a lot of graphs, there's some math that we actually did on past Tuesday, but the actual model itself is a little bit more complicated, but after you see the basic factors, it's actually not that bad. So, the two major markets that we're analyzing, one is the output market. And this is where we solve out for real GDP, which we've been talking about all semester, and we call real GDP Y, and that's no difference. We're also going to solve out for the price level, and that determines a measure of how costly it is to buy goods and services, because we want to have prices also now be endogenous. So we have outputs endogenous, prices endogenous, and we also have expected prices. I'm not going to spend too much time with that right now, but expected prices plays an important role in how people make decisions in the near-term future. The second market we deal with is the labor market. And the labor market solves out for two endogenous variables and then implicitly a third one. The first one is we'll solve out for employment, which we'll call L, and again, employment's an endogenous variable. And then we have wages, which is the cost of purchasing labor or the income that households receive by supplying labor. And wages are designated with the letter W. The third variable that's pulled out of this model is real wages. And real wages is defined as W nominal wages over P the price level. So the basic idea here is that if the real wage is rising, that means that your wages are increasing faster than the cost of buying goods and services represented by the variable P, your price level. So if W over P is rising, then people are better off. And if W over P is falling, that implies that prices are rising faster than wages. And therefore people are worse off. And that's going to be an important feature in this labor market as we go forward. Now, to summarize then, Y, P, and expected P, L, W, and W over P are all endogenous variables now in our model. Okay? And then we have to look at the exogenous variables. How are we going to shock this model? And what we do here is we look at one, monetary policy, and we talked about that with open market operations. And so that will be an important feature in influencing the output market and labor market. Then we also will be looking at the role of government expenditures. And this is again federal expenditures. And that's also going to influence the output and labor market. And then the third exogenous variable is we'll be looking at taxes. So what we have now is a two-market model, the output market and the labor market. And what we're going to do is graphically display these and show you how they all integrate. And then after we understand how these two markets are interrelated, then we understand with how changes in these exogenous variables will impact all the endogenous variables. So the next thing I'm going to do with the next video clip that you'll be downloading from YouTube is I'll first go through the labor market, and we'll draw the curves and understand how this market solves out for wages and employment and also real wages. Okay, we'll see you in a couple of minutes.